Hey guys, so welcome to another World of Warcraft video. And today I thought we would talk a bit about Midnight. I know I've been a little quiet regarding it. A lot of it has to do with the way they announced it. I was not impressed. So as always, you guys know I always share everything online, and I usually turn my stream stuff into clips. I never did with Midnight. I never bothered editing up that part of the stream into a react video. And that just shows how uninterested I was that I didn't even feel a point in making a video on it. So, but today, it's been a little over a month, and I thought, since my channel is dedicated to World of Warcraft, we would discuss it, and I'll let you know kind of how I was feeling that day and, things going forward and stuff. So here's the clip. This was like our first kind of announcement. And so I'll show you the clip, and that's where it all kind of starts. Now, the way they announced things was very weird. I get that it wasn't BlizzCon. It's, they're part of Xbox now, and I'm just going to say it almost felt like they were an intruder, intruding in on what the Xbox show usually is. And I'm not saying that as some like Xbox fan. I barely even touch my Xbox. I'm just saying that when you see this clip, if you haven't already seen it, you'll see what I mean. The vibe was just different, and 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 yeah, it really was a lot of the vibe that was the reason that, people who watch my streams know exactly how I felt. But you guys that watch my videos and not so much the streams, well, one, it would have taken you so much to even find this clip because it was in the Xbox showcase. And they decided to do it pretty close to the end, but not the very last announcement. So you would have had to do a little bit of digging, right? Like, that's a reason why I usually clip them into videos. But this was all over the place. So let's just run the trailer, and then we'll continue after that. No clapping. I can't say I'm not surprised. WoW is new to Xbox, right? So most people are not even expecting it.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here to reveal our next adventure, World of Warcraft Midnight. I'm equally excited to welcome you all home with our new housing feature. And if you're here at Gamescom, please come by and check it out on the show floor. We have a lot coming in this next expansion, our 11th expansion. To start with, on the horizon, there's a looming darkness, and it's threatening the ancestral home of our blood elves. But Midnight is also about light, and about hope, and about heroes who rise when the world needs them most. And it's about
right? Is it me, or is she like deliberately talking slower than normal?
And
it
all starts at the Sunwell.
Can we just get to
it,
Holly?
If any of you have ever played WoW, do you remember the Sunwell? With that in mind, please enjoy the premiere of our cinematic introduction to Midnight.
The light guides my steps and illuminates my path. The light flows through me, and by its grace am I made one with all that is sacred. The light
Liadrin, it has begun. I need you with me on the wall.
Lorthamar, the void will envelop us soon. Only the light can save us now.
No. The time for prayer has passed.
The Sunwell will not fall. Not while I draw breath. Little elves. I can see you grow weary. How much longer can you hold out? Flee and save yourself.
I have really been liking Exalitath.
Liadrin, don't.
Light be with you. You see? She understands it's hopeless. Soon, you all will. The light guides my steps and illuminates my path. The light flows through me, and by its grace am I made one with all that is sacred. The light guides my steps and illuminates my path. The light flows through... I know that I am unworthy. I don't know if I deserve your help, but I know my people do. Please give them strength. I admire your spirit, but that will not save you. Soon, I will break your world.
You can't even break one elf.
You can't slash spit. It's the rules, buddy.
This darkness comes to devour everything. And when it is finished, there will be no more light. Without your aid, we will perish. I beg you, help us. Sunwell will not fall!
Not while we draw breath.
It was okay. I've seen better. It's supposed to be like light versus void.
What a great cinematic. Nobody does those better than Blizzard.
I thought it's not too bad. I liked a few games. Yeah. I think as far as WoW, I think it's a bit of a bummer that they're part of these shows because the hype is never going to be there anymore. With them being part of a show that holds like a lot of other game trailers, and MMOs are a bit of a niche, and WoW is a huge niche. Pretty much, if you play it, more than likely you're 40 plus. Like only old people play WoW, so might be the odd young person here and there, but they are not the norm. And yeah, so most people don't care about WoW. WoW needs it's always needed its own, it's better in BlizzCon. Yeah. So, because I definitely could sense the lack of hype with the World of Warcraft reveal there. And it was before they even started the cinematic. There just was no applaud or anything. And then even when it ended, there was barely a reaction. So yeah, I think as long as they keep running them in these shows, which they will because they're part of Xbox now, yeah, it's gonna be a different hype level for sure. Okay, guys, so that was the trailer. Now, nothing against the cinematic itself. I do believe, like, in my personal opinion, there has been better. But for the most part, Blizzard does do a good job of the cinematics. It's just, it wasn't as good as I've seen them do, but it wasn't horrible. But you can see what I meant, right? Like, there was no applauding after, and yeah, like, they were appealing to a crowd of people that could care less about World of Warcraft. These are people that probably have never touched the game, and if they did, it was like 10 plus years ago. Like, this is a crowd of people who are, well, like myself, honestly, play many other games. That's why I watched that show, right? If I was like only a person that only played WoW, which I used to be, I would say from vanilla 2004 to Legion 2016, WoW was my only game. And then it was around the end of Legion that I was like, okay, like, Legion was a great expansion, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't really, like, when I decide to play other games, it's not because I think WoW's bad or anything. It's because I've been playing one and only one game for so many years, right? It's just me wanting some variety in my gaming. It's like, it's not a hit at WoW at all, right? It's just me wanting to do other things. And there's no quit. There's never been a quit, right? You guys always see videos on the channel. Obviously, I'm still playing. But that's what the Xbox and a lot of these, like, all these gaming conventions are like that. The only one that really wasn't was BlizzCon, but even BlizzCon was a bit like that because BlizzCon covers all Blizzard games, right? But if I was a person that only played WoW, I would never watch those things because you waste your time getting to it. It's a pretty long show. The show itself is usually a few hours. And then your WoW clip is, like 5 minutes with maybe a 5-minute speech. And yeah, so that's a lot of sitting through something you might not even care about just to get your WoW trailer. I think if they're not going to be announcing these at BlizzCons, I think they need to do some deep dives on this stuff, which the deep dive that is upcoming that I'm going to talk about a bit is the reason I chose to do this video. I was like, well, I haven't talked about Midnight yet really on the channel other than in the stream, but streams are a whole other kind of niche of viewers. So yeah, I know damn straight that not everyone that hears what I say in stream has, like, they're not the same people that watch my videos. Like, there's a group of you that watch both, but more than anything, there's a group of you that are stream only, and there's a group of you that are YouTube videos only. And the weirdest part of that is I understood that when I was streaming on Twitch and only Twitch and doing videos on YouTube. But the weirdest part of that is that the streams and the videos are both on YouTube, yet I have like two crowds on the same channel. Like, that's just so weird. It's so weird to have like this divided group of people, but they're on the same channel. It's the weirdest thing ever. But anyway, so all in all, my thoughts. I'm not a big fan of player housing. Not, I play my cutesy games, like Animal Crossing and Disney Dreamlight. That's my player housing. So I'm not, it's not a feature I really asked for. Let me stand up my character here. Now, I'm always interested in lore, right? I know lore's such a running joke now. No, they don't do great at lore anymore, but it doesn't mean I don't want to still follow with whatever the story is. A story is better than no story, in my personal opinion, and I'm always going to follow along with the story. I'm always going to want to play the game for the story, and yeah, so campaigns are a big reason why I continue to buy the expansions. But this is, I'm just gonna say, like, it'll be interesting to see what Titan brings us, because for something that's been like this big kind of trilogy, it's been pretty lame. I'm just gonna put it out there. I know not everyone's gonna agree with me, but this is my channel. This is my video, and these are my thoughts, okay? Like, I'm not speaking, like, I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm like, yeah, don't come at me with you're wrong, because this is not a right or wrong thing. This is an opinion, and the reality is the trilogy has sucked, and yeah, it started with the War Within, and we're really just in the first one, right? But the first of the three. But the War Within is like Dragonflight Part 2. That's exactly what it is. They still have fucked over the professions. They still have fucked over a lot of things that I loved. And I do feel like, a lot of people feel like the trilogy's gonna end things. I feel like the War Within was like a new generation beginning of things. Like, I feel like the true end, like, it's almost, actually, no, I take that back. It's almost like Dragonflight was. Because I feel like the true end was the end of Shadowlands. Which is funny, because that's how people actually thought it was going to end. They thought WoW was over at the end of Shadowlands. And in my opinion, it was. It was over. It's just we still have servers that are running with other versions, But in my mind, it ended. It ended in Shadowlands, because when Dragonflight came out, it was, WoW is already in Shadowlands. It already was way different than when I played it back in vanilla. But Dragonflight really kind of made it a whole different game for a different crowd. And yeah, so I already feel like it's gone through multiple beginnings, and yeah, I really don't think WoW is for the same people it always was. When I have some people come into the chat, I have one viewer that always likes to remind us that he was 6 when when vanilla came out. And you know what? It makes sense because he loves what retail is right now, right? And that's the reality. The reality is the people who love what retail is right now are the people who were too young to experience what vanilla was, right? And you can't experience it through classic. You have to have been there because it was a different vibe, right? But you know, because the game is just part of it. The community is the other part. You're never going to get that same community ever again because now we have streaming and people are, you know, people are not necessarily playing the game because they love it anymore. You know, there's a lot of people that play it for money. And yeah, so that's that. So that's a little rant. Now, what does it mean in the end? I'm still going to buy the Midnight, right? I'm not too happy about Midnight because it seems to be pretty dedicated to player housing. I'm not a big fan of player housing, but that's going to be a side thing. I am interested in the story. They're going to talk a lot about the Silver Moon and Blood Elf and all that. My Blood Elf Warlock was my second character, my first alt, my first horde. And yeah, I made my Night Elf Druid first in vanilla. And then when BC came out, I made my second character, which was my Blood Elf Warlock. So she holds just as much memory as my main character that you see me on all the time, this character right here. So yeah, I'm very interested in going through that. I just think it's going to be a lot like what War Within has been. You guys have seen me, you know, play the game, but I'm not streaming it every day like I used to, you know, and I'm playing things in between. I'm making videos, but I haven't really been making like a whole lot of how-to guides. You know, I think that ended in Shadowlands. Shadowlands was the last time I made, like, there's been, you know, a couple here and there, but Shadowlands was the last expansion when I was like heavily making guides for you guys. And yeah. And that, like, if you ever were curious, I think you can tell through my content, right? I'm very active. I'm like the most active WoW content creator out there. Anyone else who is as active as I am or more has a dedicated team behind them that they're paying. I am one person. I'm doing everything myself. And yeah, so I am definitely, like, if you see a slowdown on the pace with WoW, then it usually means I'm not liking something. Like, there is usually a reason behind that. And yeah, so that's my thoughts, guys. Let's get into the next thing involving this. So the next thing, because I don't want to make this video too terribly long, I just wanted to give you some thoughts since I haven't really talked about Midnight on the channel yet. So, so the next thing, we just got an announcement a few days ago, and it is Blizzard announcing that they are going to start doing the Midnight Alpha testing. Now, they're going to do a deep dive on October 1st, and then the alpha test will begin on October 2nd. So the deep dive is going to be an hour. It's a live Q&A with the WoW developers, and this is the shit I like. I like when they do stuff with the WoW developers. It's all this shit with, like, YouTubers. I don't care what the WoW YouTubers have to say. If I'm interested in info about a game that has not come out yet, I want to hear it from the developers. Not the group of people that have tested it for 10 minutes, you know? like, let's be real. I want to know what your plans are. And And so that's what we'll get from the deep dive. And this is, getting back to what I said a little earlier, this is how I think they should have done all the Midnight stuff. The Midnight release info last month was a fucking disaster. It was a disaster. No one knew where to look. Luckily, I didn't care so much because I watch every single game show. I love watching game trailers. I want to see what I want to play for the rest of the year. So I was gonna sit through that shit anyway, right? But if you weren't gonna, it was a mess. There was, I think they would have done better just putting it on a channel for people to view, like their World of Warcraft channel. So anyway, the deep dive is going to be at 9 a.m. Now, I can't guarantee you I'll be live at 9 a.m. because that is a weekday, right? Let me see. What is October 1st? Yeah, that's a Wednesday. I do, I do have to work for a living. Not a rich YouTuber over here. So probably won't be live at 9 a.m., just gonna say. But if you're not in a rush to watch it, you can watch it with me that evening. I will definitely watch it in the evening for that day. And then maybe we'll make it a WoW night. It's been a while since, people have been asking for a WoW stream. And every time I give them a WoW stream, I choose Classic. So maybe that'll be a good excuse to do another retail stream here soon. But yeah, so that's when I will watch it. And they're going to talk about zone, story, and some features of the expansion. I'm really hoping that if they talk about player housing, they talk for 2 minutes, because that was the thing that annoyed me the most with the stuff they were showing a month ago, is that it was so player house focused that the only thing we really knew was what we saw in the cinematic, which you can't really take that. A cinematic is a cinematic. It's like a movie. You can't just judge what the expansion is going to be off of a cinematic, and so that's what annoyed me the most, and it annoyed me so much I didn't want to do a video on Midnight, right? Yeah, because I get it, people want player housing. As with many features I have disliked in WoW, it'll just be another one that I will pretend doesn't exist, but I'll keep playing around it. And yeah, so I'm coping with the fact that it's gonna exist, but that doesn't mean that all the info has to be player housing related. And that's what this deep dive's gonna be. They're gonna talk about the actual expansion, not the part that a select few will be in, and the content don't even happen in your player housing, right? You are gonna go out in the world to do your killing, so that interests me a lot. We're gonna finally get some decent info, because all we've really gotten is little tidbits here and there, and people guessing at shit. And yeah, and I like my confirmed info. Here on screen is the content phases. Now, this is alpha content phases. Make sure you read the alpha part. This is not the expansion comes out content phases. So it's kind of weird. I don't think, actually, I know for a fact there's never been a roadmap for an alpha. So they must have a lot planned for Midnight, which is good. And I'm glad they're finally going to talk about what they got planned, because I was starting to think that they didn't really have much planned because they were talking so much about player housing, right? And so yay. So let's see. Phase 1, you'll be able to level from 80 to 83. We'll get over to Eversong Woods. There's going to be level up and Erator campaign, of course, housing. Worth noting that if you pre-purchased Midnight, you're going to have access to housing, whereas if you haven't, you'll just be able to collect things for your housing, but you won't be able to actually get in there. Got 2 new dungeons, Windrunner Spire and Murder Row. Both sound pretty cool. A few new delves. I was kind of hoping delves would just be a War Within feature, but whatever. I guess it is popular for people who don't group up with people, but I do think that you get too good of loot out of delves. Delves should be a lower, right? Like, you're not grouping up with anyone. You're doing it solo. So, like, it should be the lower gear, and then, like, rating should always be the highest gear, right? And I feel like delves, like, you can get rating gear with very, very little effort out of a delve. And yeah, something's just horribly off with that. I've had a problem with the way they do gearing ever since BFA. BFA is when they started putting raid level gear into world quests, so people who don't even do like any type of end game content would just get it through world quests. And yeah, that's when I really started having an issue with the gearing, and that's when I stopped caring about end game as much. I still care, but I care less than I did back then, or prior to BFA. Delve Companion, Valir. Okay, so we're gonna get a new companion. So you know what? She'll probably be the companion for Midnight. Yeah. So no more Bran. I love Bran though. That's unfortunate. I don't know if like, I don't think Valyra is a good substitute for Bran. Just saying. Like, Bran is funny. Yeah. Funny and adorable. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Okay, so Devourer Demon Hunter is, of course, a new class that they mentioned in the info last month. And then profession updates, but the professions will still look exactly like they do now, so. And then Phase 2, some new dungeons, and then the Zolomon zone. And so Phase 2 and 3 will be able to get to 88. And this is if you play the alpha. Me, I don't really care about alpha and betas. I always get them, but I just don't care about them because I'm gonna have to redo it later anyway, you know? Like, someone else can test the game. Yeah, I'll hop in for, like, if something in particular really interests me, I'll hop in. But unless there's an achievement for me to do alpha, I'm not really caring too much, you know? I use it as a time to catch up in, you know, some game stuff that I may have missed, whether that be WoW or some other games. And yeah. So I'll probably test out Valyra to see if I like her as a companion. And, you know, the dungeons, I will usually do a video on the dungeons. But aside from that, you know, I don't necessarily want to know too much about the story. So, yeah. you know, I just want to know basics, but I don't want to like go through, you know, the campaigns and stuff. Yeah, not until it's like legit and live. Phase 4 and 5 is when we can get to 90. Voidstorm will be the zone, more story and quests, more dungeons, delves. And then for PvPers, this is when you'll be able to encounter some of that new stuff. And then Phase 5, you'll have the level 90 Chapter 1 campaign with a couple of extra delves. And then the prey system, along with some outdoor activities. Now, I'm still kind of surprised how put together it is. Yeah, they definitely plan on running the alpha for a while. The fact that it has these kind of phases to it. Yeah, the alpha is definitely gonna run for a long fucking time. Yeah. And honestly, interesting that they would like bring it out around the time Legion Remix is getting ready to release. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Okay, so that is the content phase that it's going to go through. And once again, the alpha does come out on the 2nd. Now, keep in mind that usually it's the big WoW streamers that get it first. They're the ones that can kind of get it seen by more eyes first. So that's a big reason why they're chosen first, you know. More reason to, you know, tell your friends about the channel, get us a little bigger over here, and then we'll get things first. Okay, guys? But point is, they generally are first. However, sometimes you can get lucky. There are just like random players that end up with alpha on that same day. I have been one of those people many times. I've often, because I usually do get alpha and I'm not a big streamer or content creator, I'm small, right? Like, I'm not so small that I have, you know, less than 1,000 followers, but I'm still small. I have a little over 4,000, and so we're still considered tiny. But for some reason, I do usually get alpha and beta. Well, beta's easy to get, especially nowadays. But you know, I've often thought it's because of the length of time of my account. They say that has no effect on it. But why else do I luck out so much when I'm not a big streamer? You know? Yeah, it has to be. It has to be the account length. And it has to be the activity on my account. Not just the fact that I have an account from a long time. But I have 40,000 hours in World of Warcraft. Like, I think they definitely look into that. Yeah. Because I am not lucky in this world. I don't luck out to just get alpha every expansion, you know? So I definitely think that they maybe look at your account length and possibly your WoW hours. Because there's definitely been times where I've gotten it and a popular WoW streamer's still waiting for theirs. So we'll see how it goes this time, guys. Worst case scenario, I'll do the video when it hits beta, but yeah. Also, it depends when I get alpha. Like, if I get it, you know, I prefer to get it right off the bat because I get involved in things afterwards. So if I get it in, like, phase 3 or something, I might already be kind of moved on to some other thing that's taken my focus. So it really depends when they give it to me. But that's what you can look forward to. Anyone that has alpha can, you could test it yourself, and feel free to leave some comments on it in some of the videos, I guess. And yeah. And that's basically the video. Just wanted to talk a bit about Midnight, give you guys my thoughts. So final thoughts. I will be playing Midnight, of course. And anyone that thought I wasn't going to, like like I play WoW. My channel is all about WoW. I have kind of made it so it's not always the stream, but that doesn't mean I don't still play WoW. It just means we can be a little different when it comes to streams. But I know some of you guys miss the WoW streams, so I will throw some WoW streams back in the mix soon. Alpha is good for people who want to test the game. It's also good for content creators that just want to get, some new content in front of faces early. It can help boost your channel a bit. But aside from that, if you're not like one of those two people, you probably don't care too much for it, because it is ultimately broken systems, because, well, that's the whole point of alpha, is to test stuff. So it'll be a lot of broken systems, and you're gonna have to redo them later. Nothing you do in alpha carries over, so same with beta. But that's it. Have a good one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.